So PAX West is kicking off, and there's a lot of stuff happening right now. Some of it seems to be tied to PAX West, but for the most part, I guess it could just be companies, some smaller indie companies and everything, just putting release dates, information out there. So rather than wait until Monday, I figured we would go over some of the stuff now, because to be honest, it's going to be kind of eventful over the weekend. And then I can tell you now, I'm starting to get the feeling, next week I think it's going to be kind of eventful, all right? I think so. It's going to be over the next week or so fairly busy, and I wanted to get this stuff out there now because I think more stuff will just pile up over the weekend with PAX West. And there was actually a lot of stuff that took place today. We had shadow drops, we had release dates given for several different games, we had trademarks found, we had a docking relief fund kit going out. There's stuff all over the place. So we're gonna talk about all of that here now. So make sure you guys, if you enjoy it, make sure you like the video on the way out. And make sure you subscribe so you can keep up to date. And I'm actually going to post, I think, another video over on the second channel here tonight as well that you might want to check out. It's more of a fun video. It's nothing too serious. But let's start today with some of the shadow drops. Okay, we had Bulletstorm, that dropped, and then Risk of Rain 2, both of which out of nowhere. Now, Risk of Rain 2, we saw, of course, in the previous Indie, the Nindies event, was it Indie World now? And that looked pretty cool, but Bulletstorm was one that I had my eye on, mostly because there's not a lot of shooters on the Switch, and they both showed up on the eShop today for $29.99. I picked both of them up. I have not had a chance to play Risk of Rain 2 yet, but I did play some of the beginning of Bulletstorm, and I have to say, so far, it looks fairly good. Like, it's actually seems to be a pretty good port. Now, I know there's going to be, I'm sure, place like Digital Foundry analyze the resolution and frame rate and everything, but so far from what I've played, it seems to run well and it seems to look pretty good on my monitor. In portable mode, I think it looks a little bit better just because, again, it's shrunken down a bit on the screen. But so far, I'd say so good on it. It's a pretty fun game. $29.99, you're going to have to decide if that's worth it for you. I think if you're just looking for another shooter, arcade-style shooter that's very violent and the language and stuff, it's just overall, it's definitely a mature game, I'll say that. You can turn all that stuff off, and the other thing I was going into the options to look for was some sort of gyro controls. I didn't see any when I was glancing through it, so keep that in mind as well. It looks like they're not, at least at this time, taking advantage of the motion and gyro controls. Maybe that'll come later on. Also, if you're unaware, Nyko is running a Nyko Portable Docking Kit Relief Program. This is an article from Go Nintendo, and then I also had one sent over from Nintendo Enthusiast. Some of the articles have mentioned my video on it, but I don't think that's what kicked it off. I think it more had to do with reviews and probably quite a few complaints sent into Nyko, but it does look like, as you see here, if you purchased a Nyko Portable Docking Kit that suffered a malfunction and have not yet received compensation from Nyko, you may be entitled to relief upon receipt of proof of purchase of a Nyko portable docking kit. Nyko will refund for the purchase price. They'll also issue an Amazon.com gift card in the amount of $50. I mean, if your Switch blew up from it, that's probably not going to get you another Switch, obviously, but I guess it's some sort of compensation. Of course, I figured out the issue in mine, and technically it works again. I still have to work out the screen and everything, but I can at least dock it and use it, and I was able to get my save stuff back. There's that chip, the Power IC chip, that appears to malfunction if the wrong current, or there's some sort of misalignment with the handshake and stuff for video and power and everything. I managed to fix mine, but most people won't go through that process. So I guess this is something, it's definitely Nyko recognizing the issue, and they also offered an apology and everything. It wasn't ready for market, but they put it out there anyway. I have to say, I haven't heard much in the way of Switches being bricked by that Insignia dock that came out around the same time. So maybe Nyko they just didn't have a good dock. It wasn't ready, and the Insignia one was. But it seems like some companies are figuring it out. But unfortunately for those companies, Nyko has kind of hurt the credibility of third-party docks in general. Most of us will just buy first party at this point. Also, Game of the Year, possibly in contention. We'll see. Untitled Goose Game got a release date out of nowhere. Happened around noon Eastern time. It just dropped on Twitter. And I went through some of the articles to pick out. And I had to pick the one on CNN Entertainment. Look, I'll give CNN credit. They attempted, okay? They saw it and they said, you know what? Maybe Lauren here saw the game and said, It's a game where you play as a goose. I like that idea because their headline is a gaming company is releasing something called Untitled Goose Game, and people are losing their honking minds. That's right. It's a breath of fresh air, I'd say, in the indie world, right? To see a game like this, most because we're still not 100% sure what we do in it, but most of us at least want to check it out. The release date is going to be interesting because I think some games may have to shift and alter their release strategy. Possibly Link's Awakening, maybe even the entirety of the Switch Lite. We'll see, because it is coming out that day, September 20th. So everything has to kind of make way for Untitled Goose Game. I'm not sure what to tell them. It's going to be $19.99. It's going to be on, this is something they didn't mention in this article, but it appears like it's going to be an Epic Game Store exclusive. It's going to be on PC and Mac, and they say you can get it way of the Epic Game Store launcher. So I'm not sure. I guess they signed a deal with them, which I've said this before. If you're a smaller indie developer and Epic Games shows up at your door with a bag of money that would take all of the stress away, financial stress, as long as you own up to it, I mean, it makes sense. I get why you're going to take the money. So it's more or less the bigger companies that I don't get as much. So, hey, you know what? Untitled Goose Game, there you go. They appear to have taken that Epic Games money, I guess. We'll see how long that exclusivity deal is for that. And what's really funny about this is at the bottom, CNN just seems confused. They don't really seem to understand why people are excited for Untitled Goose Game, and that's fine. They do say it's playable in 11 languages, costs under 20. It's $19.99. Okay, sure. And when House released, the first look trailer got more than 600,000 views, 40,000 likes, 13,000 retweets. And the company asked for name suggestions on Twitter, but ultimately decided to leave the working title. And then just says CNN reached out to the company for comment. CNN's on the case. They're going to figure out that title. No, I think they reached out for comment to try to understand this game. I think that's what's happening, and I love it. You know what? They shouldn't explain it at all. Just leave it how it is. Untitled Goose Game. Release it. I'm getting it, obviously. We're going to check this thing out. This could be fun. We'll do a video on it, see if we can understand it. But it's unique, it's fresh, and I'm interested. So look forward to it September 20th. Stay home from Area 51, pick up, Untitled Goose Game, and have some fun. Castle Crashers Remastered also got a release date. Remember, this was announced prior, I think, a month or two ago, I believe. And it is PS4. Appears, as they say here, a PS4 version of the game is also almost ready. However, they don't have a release date for that yet. It appears like it's showing up on the Switch September 17th. It seems like the Switch version may have had at least some more work put into it. Like they're kind of accelerating that one, which I get. It's going to sell well on the Switch. I think most people understand that. I assume it's going to support single play with a one Joy-Con controller because there's plenty of buttons there for that. It's not like an overly complicated game when it comes to playing. It's a very fun hack and slash beat 'em up style game with RPG elements. I really liked it on the Xbox 360. I'm very happy to see it getting a revival essentially onto the Switch because I think it will get closer to I'd say it would probably get into the top 10 on the eShop charts when it comes out. I think it'll do well. They say sharp HD graphics and 60 frames per second. Exciting stuff there. Again, I recommend checking it out. You can still play it on your Xbox One. I've loaded up a few times to check it out since this announcement because I was kind of like, I forgot about this game. Let's check it out again. But yes, it is coming September 17th, 3 days before Untitled Goose Game. So it's at least coming early enough to get out of the way of that game. And lastly, Doom 64 appears to be set. Like it seems to be coming. We've had, of course, Doom 1, Doom 2, Doom 3. All of those, remember, dropped. Had the Bethesda login issue and everything. They seem to have resolved that from what I've seen with updates. They're also doing another patch for the Switch version specifically that's going to fix up some of the graphics, the music, and performance. But the other game, Doom 64, appears to be getting closer. I almost have a theory that maybe it's a PAX West thing because it's now been rated in Australia. Now, we've seen the rating before. Remember, we saw it, I believe it was, European Game Information Rating in July. We pointed this out because this happened right around the time of the random, like the shadow dropping that took place before. I believe that was for QuakeCon, where we saw that. But it looks like, yes, Doom 64 is coming, most likely. It's been rated by a couple different places. Generally, you get them rated if it's actually going to release. Pricing's going to be interesting. And, of course, people are really excited for this one because it's only ever been on the Nintendo 64. I think some people have done emulation and stuff outside of that. But, like, officially, that's where it's stayed. And, of course, if you know anything about the 64, it's not really set up very well for modern sets at all. So I'm excited to see this. This could be really neat. No word on release date, but I have I'm hopeful that we'll either have it shadow drop to PAX West over the next few days, or at least a release date. We'll see. Hey, maybe it's in this fall Nintendo Direct or something that we believe is coming up possibly next week. We'll see. That would be cool as well. But yes, Doom 64 is coming. And that's it for some extra news that popped up before the weekend started up with PAX West and everything. Just to get that out to you guys, because it's going to be, like I said, it's going to start picking up. Next week is going to be interesting from what I've been hearing and other people have been hearing. There's a possibility. We've been trying to take a guess as to when this Nintendo Direct's going to happen, and we think it's going to be before Tokyo Game Show, which would place it this week coming up. A lot of us think that makes sense. So while it's not guaranteed, obviously, that's the most likely position if they're going to have one. I'll say again, if they have one, to be there. But yes, a lot of fun stuff happening. So make sure you guys check out the other channel if you want to see some talk about Astral Chain. And then tomorrow I will have hopefully my impressions all out for you guys, so you can check out that as well. Thanks guys for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you keep up to date on all the gaming news going forward, especially over PAX West, because it's going to get kind of busy. Thanks guys for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.